Hello everyone. In today's video, we are going to be looking at Google Classroom as an online teaching tool. To go to Google Classroom, we can type Classroom into Google. And basically the first link that comes up is going to be Google Classroom, or you can just simply type in classroom.google.com, and that's going to take us straight to Google Classrooms. Once we are there, we need to sign into one of our Google accounts. We're going to select a Google account. Most everyone has a Google account, but if you don't have one, you can simply create a class or Google account easily. Once we are in your Google Classrooms main page, you won't have all these tabs showing. I've been trying to dabble in Google Classroom, so that's why those are there. But you just create a class as a teacher, or you can join a class as a student. To create a class, if you're not a part of a school district or a school, you just simply check this tab and say continue. It's going to ask you for your class name and what subject it is. For example, you can say goals and create your class. Class creation usually takes about 10 to 15 seconds. And once that's done, it's going to show us our stream page for our main class that we just created. We can make an announcement to our class in this tab. The stream tab here shows us basically what happens in your classroom. Everything that you do as a teacher will get announced to your students as an activity. Or you can just say, welcome to your class. And it's going to get posted either now, or you can schedule it to be posted at a later date. I want this to get posted right away. So that goes there. We can look at different tabs as well. This class code here is how we can invite our students to join our class. Simply send this to your student and they can join your class by simply typing this code into join class. And if they enter that code here, they can join your class easily. But here we are in English 101. We can also invite people by typing their email addresses here. I'm just going to send an invite to one of my email addresses. And once they click the link in their email, they can become a part of your class. One great advantage of Google Classrooms is that it allows collaborated teaching. So you can invite a teacher as well. Once they accept the invitation, they can become a teacher in your class as well. In this tab, in the classwork tab, is where we basically create all the material that we will use in the class. We can create topics, week 1. We can either separate it by weeks, or we can say lesson 1, lesson 2. It's up to us how we want to structure our class. Quiz 1. Now these are out of order. You can simply click and drag to put them in order. And it looks all nice and neat. We can also create a reading material for, let's say, week 1. Now these are going to be either files from our Google Drive or files from our computer. We can simply say These are some random files I have on my computer, so it's not necessarily part of anything I'm teaching or anything, but it's easy to find the file that's on your computer and upload it. Once we upload a file, it becomes part of our Google Drive and we can use it in future classes as well. And because this is week 1 reading, we can assign it to the topic week 1 and just post it, or we can also schedule it to be posted at a later date. But automatically the material that we just uploaded becomes part of week 1 materials. We can also create an assignment for week 1, and we can set a due date. It could be a comprehension question or a discussion material for that particular reading that we had already put in that week. Let's create another material for the week 2. Topic goes into week 2, and the material gets uploaded from the browse option, or we can also select from our Google Drive. But we go ahead and post it. And here we can set who can view the file. Because we have no students in our class right now, we don't have any other option but select all students. But we could also individually select students that need to get this material and that don't need to get it. So that's a neat option for Google Classrooms. And the quiz 1, we can also create quizzes or assignments, like we said. Mainly, the biggest advantage of Google Classrooms is the fact that it can share assignments and material as easily as clicking a few buttons. Over here, we can give it a title, quiz 1. We can set the due date for the quiz. Let's make it next Friday. And the time is 11:59. Who needs to answer this quiz? Every student. Basically, we can also use the blank quiz form in the Google Forms. What's nice about Google Forms or Google Classroom in general is that everything that we upload into Google Drive gets automatically saved into Google Drive. So I can import questions from a previously prepared quiz. And import all my questions from a previous file that I worked on. I can rename the quiz, quiz 1. And as soon as I make any changes, it gets automatically saved. And the quiz 1, once I click assign, will be created. Now, this quiz 1 is not sitting in any of the subjects that I've created, so I can simply drag and move it into quiz 1, and it's ready. Now, this is how we generate class material, whether it be reading material, any pictures, videos that you want to share with your class, or any assignments that you want to assign to your class participants. And everything I do in the classwork tab gets announced to the entire class. So the students can see that the reading material for week 1 was assigned or uploaded to the system, so they can go in and check the document and read it as they need to do so. Another nice thing that we can do is once we have any assessment tools uploaded, we can see the students' grades and we can follow their progress from this one tab. So if any of your students need help you can see it from this tab as easily as clicking the grades tab, which is really nice. I want to talk about some of the advantages and disadvantages of Google Classrooms. Google Classroom is a free tool, which is a great advantage over some of the other online teaching media. Almost everybody has a Google account. I mean, for one reason or another, you have a Google account created. If you have a YouTube account, that's also a Google account. Anyway, so that's one of the main pluses of Google Classroom, is that it's free and it's easily accessible to everyone that has internet. One of the shortcomings of Google Classrooms is that unless you are associated with a school and your school has made the arrangement for you to be able to use the Google Meets feature, you do not have access to a live lesson. So you cannot show your students your face, you can't have a webcam meeting with your students, unfortunately, unless you are a teacher at a school or a school district. That's one of the shortcomings of Google Classrooms. One of the really neat things about Google Classrooms is that it has a mobile app for both Android and iOS phones. So it's easier for students to access your class, even if they're on their mobile phones. Overall, it's a very simple, very intuitive tool to use. There are some things that could be improved, but other than adding the ability to make live lessons a possibility for all teachers, it's a pretty neat tool altogether. But I want to show you what I did for my midterm that can easily be implemented into Google Classrooms. Is that I added a quiz to the end of the unit, and this was the quiz that I thought would be necessary. Because there was no assessment tool at the end of that unit, I decided to add an assessment tool to the end of the unit, and this is my assessment. Basically, it measures how far the students have come. So this assessment tool allows for the students to, or the teacher to understand if they have taught the students well enough. I was also introducing a concept called SMART, that's for goals. And it's an acronym, of course, for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound. So I wanted to see if the students got these, as well as some general ideas about what goals they should set. But yes, this was my addition to my unit, and this is how I would easily implement it into Google Classrooms. I hope that you were able to follow along, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or concerns, you can either comment under the YouTube video, or you can write in your feedback responses. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a wonderful day.